And speaking of stories, Xi Jinping has been trying to script China's story and by extension his own. Chinese leaders in the last few decades have drawn their power from their economic rise. In 2018, President Xi said this about China's economy, and I'm quoting, "The Chinese economy is not a pond, but an ocean. The ocean may have its calm days, but big winds and storms are only to be expected. Without them, the ocean wouldn't be what it is. Big winds and storms may upset a pond, but never an ocean." Quite the poetic touch, we must say. But these days, he doesn't wax eloquent about the economy. In fact, the Chinese president hardly touches this topic because there's bad news on every front. Growth is slowing, consumer demand is down, exports are sluggish, and 1 in 5 young Chinese are out of work. These are serious problems, and they look like they're here to stay. Experts have slashed China's growth estimates. What is the new growth estimate? 5.1% in 2023 and 4.5% in 2024. So the falling growth rate will continue. The rate will keep falling. And China has only Xi Jinping to blame for this. His policies have wrecked the economy. China's growth story began in the late 1970s. That's when the country opened up to the world. In the next 3 decades, there was rapid growth. In 2019, the World Bank made a declaration it called China's growth the fastest sustained expansion by a major economy in history. Do you know what was the pace of this growth? Nearly 10% every year. And now it could fall below 5%. Sure, you can't sustain 10% growth forever, but a projection of 4.5 is worrying. And the reasons for this fall are linked to Beijing's policies under Xi Jinping. You see, China's rapid growth was mainly due to its free market reforms. When Xi Jinping became president, he tried to reverse that. He tried to rein in the corporates, to dictate their functioning from Beijing and to insist on loyalty from business owners. He wanted them to commit to Communist Party goals. And anyone who complained faced action. You may remember what happened to Jack Ma. He lost a $35 billion IPO because he criticized Chinese regulators. This approach may have worked for Xi Jinping, but it did not work for his country's economy. The president consolidated power and control over corporates, but investors lost trust in China. And there's now a crisis of confidence. More trouble could be brewing. China's property sector is sinking further. Evergrande is back in news. It used to be the crown jewel of China's property sector. Today, it is the world's most indebted property dealer. Evergrande shares started trading again, and the stock price plummeted from the word go. This morning, Evergrande shares were down by 17%. It's a big fall. It has wiped $2 billion off the company's value. $2 billion, that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to their losses earlier. In the last 3 years, this company, Evergrande, has lost over 99% of its value. Evergrande's problems run deep. It has $328 billion in debt. You've got those numbers right, $328 billion in debt and more than 2,000 lawsuits. Most of them are about the company's pending debt. Creditors have sued Evergrande for money. Builders and suppliers have not got their payments, so they filed cases for recoveries. And this is all very significant because Evergrande is at the center of China's real estate crisis, although it's hardly the only one. Many other companies are in a similar mess, like Country Garden. That's another beleaguered developer. It recently skipped some bond payments. Since 2021, companies that sell 40% of China's homes have defaulted. You can imagine the scale. And this has led to a ripple effect. Many contractors have not got their payments. These are small businesses and workers, those who built properties for China's developers. How much money are they owed? A whopping $390 billion. In fact, experts say that's a conservative estimate. The actual number could be much bigger. So you get the idea. The rot runs deep. The Chinese economy heavily depends on real estate. It makes up almost 29% of their growth, the real estate market. Connect these dots, and this is what you get. China's economy needs a reset. It needs more investment, and Beijing needs some breathing room. So it is talking to Washington. The US Commerce Secretary is visiting Beijing. The wolf warriors have been tamed, and the government is singing a completely different tune. Beijing is discussing ways to create a better environment for American businesses in China. Listen to this.
I'm willing to work with you to create a good policy environment for cooperation between the business sectors of both countries and to promote the steady and predictable development of bilateral trade and investment, so as to inject new impetus into the global economic recovery.
So will China live up to these promises? Given their dire straits, they might. But it will take more than statements to reassure investors. They want continuity in policy making. And we're not sure if Xi Jinping is listening. Are you looking for a new TV show to binge? If you are, I have a suggestion. Tune in to Pakistani politics. It's a strange world of drama, power, and rivalries. But just a heads up. If you like an unexpected climax, you will be disappointed. Because in this show, there is only one winner, the Pakistani army. Let me recap the latest episode for you. It started around noon today. The Islamabad High Court gave its verdict on Imran Khan's Tosha Khana case, the one involving state gifts, the Tosha Khana case. Remember, he was convicted by a lower court in this case. He was given 3 years in jail. But today, the High Court suspended that sentence. They allowed Imran Khan to walk out of jail. So where is he now? It's been around 7 hours since the verdict. And guess what? Imran Khan is still in jail. That's because he's been rearrested in another case. This one is not linked to corruption. It's about a secret diplomatic cable which was leaked. Let me explain. Imran Khan has been accusing the US of conspiring to topple him. As evidence, he talked about a cipher, a secret cable which allegedly confirms America's role in toppling his government. He showed this document at a rally last year, which was not a good move at all. He has now been charged under the Official Secrets Act. And what is his crime? Wrongful use of a classified document, in this case the cipher. Reports say Imran Khan has admitted to misplacing the cable now. A special court has asked him to remain in judicial custody. He will be produced in the courtroom tomorrow. And what will happen then? Perhaps another conviction. Today's events have confirmed what everyone already knew. The army will not let Imran Khan walk free. If not Tosha Khana, then secret cables. If not secret cables, then one of the 150 other cases against him. So what options does he have? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, some background on what happened today. Imran Khan had appealed his conviction in the Islamabad High Court. Today's verdict does not reverse that. He remains convicted of corruption. He also remains disqualified from contesting elections. So what is different now? His jail time has been suspended. That's what is different. Imran Khan's supporters gathered outside the High Court. They demanded his immediate release. Instead, he was rearrested. His lawyers have planned out a strategy. They're asking for blanket protection from the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Listen to this.
Look, if they are going to arrest him in other cases, our strategy is already online. We have filed cases in the High Court and Supreme Court, and we are seeking the court to restrain the prosecution for arresting him in any other case. Hopefully, she will be out soon.
If they get it, good. But what happens if they don't? You see, the cases against Imran Khan are not about justice. He may be corrupt. But these cases are not about corruption, because let's face it, if corruption was a bar, half of the generals in Pakistan would also be in jail. So these cases are political. They're aimed at pinning down Imran Khan's political career, which means the solution must also be political. Not judicial, but political. Imran Khan will have to strike a deal with the Pakistani army if he wants to walk free. That's the only way he can escape jail. Prime ministers before him have done the same. They have lived in exile. Some have retired from politics. If Imran Khan agrees to this, he may get some relief. If not, his chances look bad. Just look at the difference in public reaction this time. Imran Khan was first arrested in May this year. Pakistan exploded then. Thousands of his supporters took to the streets. They even attacked military targets. But now there is none of that, just some minor celebrations outside the Islamabad High Court, and that's it. The rest of Pakistan is not even bothered. Why is that? Because the army has intimidated these people. If they support Imran Khan, they will be persecuted. So most of them are staying at home. and that's half the job done for the army. They say you need two things to control a country, the streets and the institutions. If you control both, you can control a country. The army has successfully captured the streets of Pakistan. The next is institutions. But clearly there are some holdouts, like the Supreme Court of Pakistan. They called Imran Khan's trial defective. But how long will these holdouts remain? That is the question, because the army has infinite patience. They have bought time to delay the election. They're filing more cases against Imran Khan, and they're also dismantling his party. If this was indeed a TV show, today's episode was an exciting one. The writers in Rawalpindi deserve all the praise. In the US, another shooting has taken place. It's become so common and regular, it hardly feels like news, but it is. And the pictures are telling. The shooting happened at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, one of the oldest public universities in the United States, now the latest to make news for gun terror. America is infamous for it, and for its absurd stance that gun sales are more important than human lives. Now, a video has emerged of the students on this campus. They were seen jumping out of windows to get to safety, and their peers were hunkering down using their active shooter situation training. And that's what makes this so surreal and disturbing. The US refuses to address gun terror. It trains students to protect themselves in the event of an attack. But it won't take one basic step to prevent the said attack. That's banning guns. Here's our report.
This video came out yesterday. It's from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. What do you think the students are doing? No, they aren't bunking class. They're actually escaping a shooting on campus.
This afternoon, shortly after 1 p.m., UNC police were notified of shots being fired in Cottle Laboratories on our campus. The suspect was eventually apprehended and is now in custody. I'm grieved to report that one of our faculty members was killed in this shooting. This loss is devastating, and the shooting damages the trust and safety that we so often take for granted in our campus community.
The identity of the shooter and the victim haven't been made public. But campus police released this image of the suspect before he was caught. No details have been given about the weapon he used. The police are also looking for motive.
So at first, we thought it was like maybe a drill or something. It took us a while to realize how serious it was. And you could feel in the room, like, the more and more we realized how real it was. Like, we went from sitting there on our social media to barricading doors. It was kind of unexpected.
We were in genome sciences over there, and we were just in the middle of our astronomy class, and the projector on the screen just came up with like the Alert Carolina message that was like, there's an armed and dangerous man on campus or something like that. And we just went through the lecture like normal for a little bit, and then we kind of realized it was a pretty serious situation. So I think we'd locked the doors pretty quickly, and we were just kind of like hunkering down, just like sitting in there waiting for more information.
An alert had reportedly gone out after the first shots were heard. Some students barricaded themselves in classrooms. Others stayed in their dorms. A curfew was in place while the shooter was loose. The curfew was lifted 3 hours after the initial alert. The shooter had been caught, reportedly in an area about 10 minutes away from campus. The incident was resolved in a few hours. But that isn't the story. The story is how gun violence continues to terrorize American campuses, and Washington's inability or unwillingness to fight it. Instead, American schools and colleges are training students in what to do during a campus shooting. In US schools, there are shooter drills. The rest of the world usually just has drills for fires and other emergencies. But American children apparently need to get used to shooters as well. The list of gun terror incidents in educational institutions is a long one. In 2017, 33 people died in the Virginia Tech shooting. 2012, Sandy Hook Elementary saw 28 murdered. Last year, 22 were killed in Uvalde, Texas. Earlier this year, 4 people, including the shooter, died at the Michigan State University. The list is morbid and ever-growing. Guns have become the leading cause of death for children in the US. And instead of stopping this, instead of preventing gun violence, America's solution is apparently to teach students to hide behind desks and pray. But what happens when a child panics and forgets to follow the active shooter protocol? Would you blame them or America's unhinged gun culture and those watching silently in the corridors of power?
And now it's time for Vantage Shots, images that tell the story. American and South Korean troops are conducting joint maritime drills. This exercise is taking place off South Korea's coast. The aim is to counter North Korea's missile threats. Meanwhile, Mexican Navy seized 4 tons of cocaine in a high-speed chase. In the United States, a helicopter went out of control and crashed into an apartment complex in Florida. India celebrated the festival of Onam. The ancient Hindu festival marks the harvest of rice. And finally, we're taking you back in history on this day, this year, in the year 2004 rather. Olympic Games returned to Greece, the country where the Olympics originated. On the 29th of August in 2004, 70,000 people gathered to watch the Olympics closing ceremony. It was a grand display of Greek culture. We're leaving you with that. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
O helicóptero caiu lá, viu?